What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Mozhawk here, and I want to do a video response real quick to a very well-respected moto vlogger, in my opinion, Mr. Night Rider. He made a video basically saying why you should get a sport bike as your first bike instead of a cruiser. I completely and totally agreed with what he said, but the thing is, there's just some main points that I want to make that I feel are relevant, and I'm hoping it actually might help somebody when deciding their first bike. Because the first thing that the media and your parents and everybody else tells you is that a sport bike is a death machine. It goes too fast. You know, people just ride them crazy, and it's not a good idea to start with one of those. That's completely and totally asinine and ridiculous, and here's why. A sport bike is meant for sporty applications. Although they are fast, they are also very nimble. And they're also lighter. So first things first, when you go to buy your first bike, the odds of you finding a sport bike over a cruiser that's going to be within your price range is very high. Especially because sport bikes, you know, the way they are, the way they're built, you can find you know, a partially dinged up sport bike, fix it up for free. Well, not for free, but fix it up for less than you could get a cruiser for. Fix that up, and you know, it'll all be good. That's mainly because of availability, parts availability. You can get them cheap. You can get a lot of sport bike parts cheap. The design of the bike, you know, they're meant to be crashed, and well, not meant to be crashed, but you know, people are going to crash those things. So they're built very sturdy. Not saying that your standard cruisers aren't, but you know, you're a kid, you're learning how to ride, you want something that you can put back together yourself very easily. Also, the fairings and the protection on a sport bike protect the engine and your components a lot. So, you know, you tip over a cruiser, basically your engine is exposed to an ass whooping. You tip over a sport bike, you crack some plastic, who cares? Next, the weight of a sport bike is significantly less than the weight of the typical cruiser. So if you're riding around on your Japanese 600, it weighs significantly less than a Harley Davidson. Or basically any cruiser. I mean, I have not seen a lot of light cruisers. I could be missing some, I could be wrong, but I mean, I'm just taking this from my personal experience. Now thinking about it, you're learning how to ride a bike. For your first bike, you're probably going to drop it and you're going to have to pick it up. You want it to be something that you can pick up by yourself and get back to learning. Next, you also got to understand that a sport bike is built not only for speed, but it is built for agility. That is a key component of why that should be your first bike. I don't care how good you think you are, there is a reason why racers ride sport bikes and not cruisers. Because a sport bike is meant to turn at a very fast pace, turn on a dime. So when a car pulls out in front of you, and it's gonna happen, you don't want to maneuver an 800-pound cruiser around a sport bike. Like, you see videos on YouTube all the time, you can quickly pull one up of a sport bike getting cut off, you know, going whatever miles an hour, and the guy just maneuvers around the cars and he lives through it. Every time you hear a Harley going down, you know, a car pulled out in front of me and I was on my Harley. Well, okay, you didn't turn around the car. And I'm not saying, now don't get me wrong, I am not saying, and don't take this as disrespect, that a cruiser rider cannot avoid a collision, or, you know, that the cruiser rider somehow deserved it. My dad rides a cruiser. It was actually his Father's Day gift a couple years ago for me. But what I'm saying is that a sport bike is a lot more maneuverable, and because it is more maneuverable, you are more likely to get out of a critical situation with that maneuverability. I enjoy sport bikes because of that maneuverability, not just because, you know, I occasionally like to ride in the mountains. And no, I am not a badass canyon carver, so don't tell anybody that I told that lie. But I do like to ride the twisties sometimes. And you know, of course, sport bikes are the best thing for that. But the maneuverability is key, along with the you know, them being smaller, things like that. So yeah, guys, I would definitely encourage you to get a sport bike because, oh, and I'm sorry, one other reason that they actually do not tell you about. Most sport bikes, most modern sport bikes, when you buy them, a lot of the power is on the top end of most sport bikes. Most Japanese bikes have the power on the top end. With the inline four, I guess that's a characteristic of all inline four motors. I could be wrong. But most of their power, usually on a sport bike, is on the top end side. Now, if you think that's meaningless, consider this. If you're going to go and start a bike, you're going to go you're going to go learn how to ride a bike. Having all of your power just spit at you out at once, you know, that could be like the most dangerous. The most dangerous thing isn't speed or power on a sport bike, it's the torque. It's your ability to get to that fast speed fast. I know when I ride a cruiser, I can accelerate a little bit faster. Like most cruisers, not all of them, but you have a good amount of them that can, you know, beat a sport bike from a dig. For guys that do not know, this is for like, you know, your amateur guys, your guys that don't know. I mean, if you got buddies that's racing every weekend, yeah, good luck. They're going to take off on that sport bike and they're going to fucking, you know, they're going to beat your ass in a drag race. But, you know, from a dig, cruisers have a lot of torque, and they get that torque right then. Now, the reason I say that is because I think that gives you a little bit more forgiveness, and I say forgiveness loosely on a sport bike. Because if I'm sitting here on my sport bike, and I've got till, and I'm twisting my grip, I have got until about, depending on the bike, I mean, hell, on my ZX10, power really kicked in at about 8,000 until I got it flashed. That dropped it down to about 6,000. I got most of my power. This one, well, the power band's a little bit different on my ZX14. But, you know, Yamaha R6s, I'm told that you really don't get into the power band until the way up RPMs. Thinking it's like 10,000. I've never owned a Yamaha. So, I mean, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But, yeah, you have a lot more time on that throttle. Like, you have a lot more space to fuck up before you really hit that hard power band, before you really get into that nice pull and torque of that bike on a sport bike. I mean, a cruiser, if you're not careful and you just open the throttle on a cruiser, that motherfucker's going to kick out from under you or just flip up. And yes, you can loop a cruiser if it's, you know, powerful enough. So, just some food for thought, guys. I know everybody tells you cruisers are safer, and those are probably the same people who are telling you that motorcycles are dangerous in the first place. So not always the best people to listen to. But in the end, do your research, make your own decisions. And if you are not riding, start riding. If you are riding, keep riding. Peace. Oh, and by the way, I don't want to see one motherfucking hater talking about how I jocked somebody else's topic or any of that bullshit. I actually commented on Knight Rider's video and asked him if it was okay that I made a response, just for proper etiquette. So, no drama on this fucking channel. Keep that shit somewhere else. All right, guys. Peace.